Hi everybody, welcome to Margaret Lewin Quilting. Today I wanted to do a little tutorial for you on pin cushions. Lately I realized that I was using my couch arm for a pin cushion and figured that probably wasn't very good and that I should get some pin cushions made up. So I've made these up. If you'd like to watch the tutorial, stay tuned and you will see it. Thank you so much. So here we go. I have my 11-inch square and I've got right sides down. And I also have here my, it's an applique pressing sheet. It's a multi-purpose craft sheet. And I have marked on it. I had a red line, but you couldn't see it on film, so I did a black line. And what this is 1/2 inch in. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to place it on top of my fabric, and I'm going to fold my fabric over so that it's at 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to press it down. And once I've done one side, I'm going to do another side. So I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. So now that I've done it on all 4 sides, what I have to do next is I need to make it so that the fabric will easily fold over, because this pin cushion is really all about folding. So I can see I've got a little point there. So I'm going to fold it in, and how I'm folding it in is so that my pressed lines are lining right up, so that I've got this nice sharp little corner. So there's one. I'm going to fold it over again, and hopefully you can see it. I've got a crease here and a crease here, and then my crease for my fold over, and I'm just lining those up so I have a nice sharp corner there. One more. All right, so now that I've got that done, I'm going to grab my pins and I'm going to start my folding process. My first fold is in, and then I fold down and down again, and I should get a pretty decent corner. Down and down again. I'm going to take this corner and fold this one over. And there is my point that I'm looking for. I'm going to stick a pin in there. It's really easiest to pick it up to do it, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to weave the pin in and out, because I really want my corner to stay. So there's one corner. I'm going to do it 3 more times. I have all 4 of my corners now. Okay, so at this point what I've done is I have folded a half inch over on all 4 sides, and I've folded my corners down so that I've got this nice crisp point at each of the 4 corners. The next thing that I'm going to do is start to bring it all together in the corner for my first fold. So I'm going to bring my first 2 sides up. I'm going to lay them down. I'm just going to stick a pin in there. And then I'm going to bring my next 2 sides up. And let's see how much adjusting I have to do. Oh, not bad at all. Okay, so I've got all 4 of my sides in. Now I'm just going to go around the outside of my block and I'm just giving it a good press. I'm not ironing it, I'm pressing it because I just want to press it down flat. Okay. And remove this pin. Make sure my corners are all there, which they are pretty good. Got that one little piece that's giving me a hard time. So let's go back and press it again. All right. So I am pressed at this point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that step all over again. So I'm going to bring all 4 of my corners in again. And last one in. And make sure I can lay pretty flat, which I am. Not bad. And I'm going to press it again. Rotating it, holding these 4 pieces in, and pressing it again and again. All right. Now that I've got it pressed, I'm going to take these 4 pieces and I'm going to stick a pin through them. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm now going to take this over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew it. And I want my 4 points to stay together. I'm going to do 2 more pins on this side. Okay, now I'm going to take it over the sewing machine and I'm going to sew across and across. All right, so I have got all my pieces sewn or folded and pressed. And now this is an optional part. I have taken a piece of fabric that is 4 5/8 inch square and I've put it down in the center. I'm going to refold my points in, and then I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and I'm just going to sew across. And I'll show you what it looks like when once I've done it. The reason for this is when my corners fold back, you're going to see that pretty bright print behind it. So I'll show you what it looks like once I've done that. And now we're going to keep going. Next, I'm going to take 2 5-inch squares and I have cut them in half diagonally. And I'm going to take and I'm going to set my points right inside of here. And yes, there is a lot of excess fabric here. You can cut your pieces smaller if you want, but I already in my scrap bucket have 5-inch squares, so I grabbed my 5. And the next thing I'm going to do is I've laid it there. Now I'm going to roll this over. When I roll it over, I'm going to pin it. And I'm going to keep rolling it all the way to the point here. Okay. Now I'm going to do it on this side. Flip it around and do it again. These pins, they're Clover's flower head pins, are wonderful. They are very sharp, but they are wonderful. I love them. So now I'm going to do this one. All right, I've got a little bubble right here, and I'm not quite sure why, but I'm going to play with it a little bit, just because I really want it to lay flat. There we go. There, that's better. Now I'm going to take my two purple ones and I'm going to do the same thing. All right, now I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine and I am going to top stitch right down here on every single petal, because they kind of look like flower petals to me. But I'm going to do that top stitch all the way around, and then I'll show you. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is, you can see that I've top stitched. So I'm going to take it and turn it over, and I'm just going to trim off the excess fabric that I've got here. And remember, I have the excess fabric only because I used the 5-inch squares that were in my scrapbook. The next step, okay, what I've done next is I've taken a piece of fabric that is 6.5 inches by 13 inches and I have folded it in half. And you'll see why I did the fold in half thing a little bit later on. And now I'm going to line it up, and yeah, you could have made it a little bit smaller, but I'm going to line it up and I am going to go all the way around. My right sides are together, and I'm going to top stitch all the way around, bring it back, and I'm going to leave it open right here from, I would say, about an inch in on each side. So I'll grab one of my little Creative Grids rulers that I love, and I'd say an inch and a quarter. So I'm going to stick a pin there, and I'm going to go over here and do another inch and a quarter, and I'll stick a pin there. And what those pins are telling me is that I really don't want to sew in between there. I'm going to put all the pieces together by just sticking a pin in the petal part. And I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine. I'm going to start here. I'll do a few back stitches. I'm going to stitch it all the way around, go to here, do a few back stitches. And I was doing a 1/4 inch seam. And now I'm just going to take it and I'm going to trim it again. One last trim through here. All right. And now I am going to turn it right side out. Just before I do it, I'm going to do a little clip on all 4 of these corners. Just like this. Oh boy, am I creating a mess today. So I'll clean this mess away for you so you don't have to look at that. All right, here we go. Let's turn it around. It is a little tough to turn, but that's because there's so much fabric. A lot of the pincushions that I saw only had one layer on the back, and I just didn't like it. I like that extra layer back there. So here I am turning it around. Almost there. All right, so now that I've managed to get it turned around, what I will do is I'm going to take this and open it up, and I will fill this with crushed walnuts. Now, if I had any emery, which right now I don't, I would also put some emery in the center there. What I would probably do is take a little bit of emery and wrap it in some saran wrap, or in a light muslin piece of fabric, and try to make it so that it was towards the middle of this. And what the reason for the emery would be, what emery does is emery sharpens your pins every time you put it through. You know, if you buy one of those tomatoes that have the little strawberry hanging off of it, that's what the little strawberry is. It's filled with emery to sharpen your needles and your pins. So I will take and I will fill this up, and once I have it filled up, I'm going to fold my backing in and my front material in, and I'll show you what it'll look like. I will pin it, and then I will stitch it together so that that seam is nice and filled up. Then once I've stitched it together, I'm going to put a button here in the center, and I will also put a button on the back, and I'm going to show you why. I already did these two pin cushions, you can see, and on the back of one I put a button, and on the back of the other I didn't, and I'm not real happy with that. I would have preferred to have a button there. The other thing you can see, I've got a seam here. The first one I made, where I had seen other tutorials on it, they had you piecing the back piece, and to me that just was not necessary. So when I did my pattern up, this is what I did. I put a button on the back of it and then some buttons on the front of it. And the whole reason for the buttons on the front is just really to hide this. So have fun, be creative, and do a couple of different buttons or whatever you want. So I hope you liked my tutorial on the pin cushions. I think these are great gifts for your friends at your local sewing guild. Great gift for a new sewer, somebody who's just starting to sew. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. And if you like this video and would like more like this, please give me a thumbs up so that I know that it's one that you like. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a great day. Bye.